There's someone in your life who never posts. No stories, no updates, no proof they were ever there. And every once in a while you wonder, what are they even doing with their life? Here's the uncomfortable possibility. They might be doing better than you. And psychology explains exactly why. Once you see it, you'll never look at silence the same way again. In a world where silence feels suspicious, people who don't use social media stand out, not because they're loud, but because they refuse to perform. And that refusal isn't random, it's psychological. Think about the last time you almost posted something. You opened the app, adjusted the angle, rewrote the caption, maybe checked how others were posting that day, and then you closed it. That pause isn't accidental. In that moment, your brain asks a question most people never say out loud. Is this version of my life good enough to be seen? People who don't use social media have already answered that question, and their answer is simple. My life doesn't need an audience. This isn't avoidance, it's autonomy. Psychology has shown repeatedly over decades that when people rely too heavily on external validation, their sense of self slowly drifts outward. How you feel starts to matter less than how you're reacted to. Likes become measurements, silence starts to feel like rejection. And if you're honest, part of you doesn't post to share, you post to be reassured. That's not a flaw, that's conditioning. People who step away feel that pressure too. They just recognize it for what it is and decide not to negotiate with it. From the outside, it looks like they're missing out, but internally, they're skipping the most exhausting job of modern life, managing perception. No branding, no captions, no constant self-editing, just reality unfiltered. If this is making you slightly uncomfortable, pause for a second. Ask yourself why, because if this didn't apply to you, it wouldn't bother you.
Here's what most people underestimate. Even when you know social media is curated, your brain still compares. You don't compare lives, you compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlights, promotions, engagements, perfect timing, perfect lighting. This isn't theory, you've felt it. Across multiple psychological studies, this kind of passive comparison has been linked to higher anxiety and lower self-esteem, even when people know it isn't real. People who don't use social media reduce how often this comparison happens, not because they're insecure, but because they understand how the game is designed, and they've decided not to play a system that quietly profits from their self-doubt. Humans feel healthiest when they believe their choices are self-directed. Social platforms do the opposite. They nudge behavior, reward visibility, train you to think in reactions. People who step away reclaim something most people don't realize they've lost: control over attention. They choose when they engage. They choose what matters. They choose privacy, not as fear, but as value. Notice something interesting. Many people who avoid Instagram or TikTok still watch hours of YouTube because YouTube doesn't demand performance. You can learn, observe, disappear. No one tracks your absence. No one wonders why you didn't post this month. It's content without exposure, connection without anxiety. People who don't use social media often have fewer relationships, but deeper ones. They don't broadcast life updates, they tell them. And consistently, research shows that relationship depth predicts happiness far better than relationship volume. 10 real conversations outperform 1,000 reactions. Psychologists describe two types of self-awareness. Public self-awareness is worrying about how you're perceived. Private self-awareness is understanding your own thoughts and values. People who avoid social media lean inward. They don't ask, "How does this look?" They ask, "Does this actually matter to me?" That isn't withdrawal, that's emotional intelligence. Choosing not to use social media isn't hiding, it's recognizing that some experiences lose meaning when they're performed. Some moments shrink when they're shared. Some achievements feel better when they belong only to you. Here's the irony almost no one talks about. Social media promises connection, confidence, and self-expression, yet the people who already have those things often don't need the platform. They didn't reject connection, they rejected the terms. So maybe the people who don't use social media aren't behind, maybe they're ahead, living life in real time, choosing presence over proof, depth over noise. Because when everything doesn't need to be shared, everything feels more real. Nobody looks back and wishes they'd posted more, but many wish they'd lived more. The quiet ones aren't missing out. They've just chosen a different kind of richness. And if you're someone who values depth over noise, subscribe for more psychology-driven videos like this. This channel is for people who think quietly, feel deeply, and don't need to perform to feel real.